Abante, Aguda, Achiro, Asigre, Apo, Agyo, Vincula, Alba, Albano, Almario, Alante, Alvarez Jose, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amante, Angara, Bison, Aranas, Albansya, Asistio, Apaido, Comentado, Balindo, Baba, Balbers, Baranda, Balzada, Scoop, Bautista, Bautista Lim, Benitez, Bernos, Villones, Turon, Bailio, Bondo, Bumalan, Bernardo, Rosita, Villones, Brasas, Buhari, Bulit Bita, Bustos, Cabredo, Cadas, Mahayang Uy, Calderon, Calixto, Campos, Talagban, Adamo, Can, Castro France, Castro Jean, Celeste, Chan, Chato, Chua, Chumarao, Angelica Natasha, Ko Elizaldi, Ko Pilar, Ko Juanco Jaime, Ko Juanco Mark, Colada, Culiantes, Corvera, Cruz Ricardo, Charisma, Bedoro, Daite, Dao, Belanhira, Asa, De Jesus, Venecia, Defensor, Belmar, Los Santos, Dimaporo Muhammad Khalid, Dimaporo City Amina, Dionisio, Domingo, Duavit, Duhali, Duterte, D. Faustino Ino, D. Faustino Michael, D. Ian Paul, Ecleo, Emano, Enciso, Escudero, Espares, Espino, Estrella, Adela, Cariñas, Fernandez, Ferrer Antonio, Ferrer Juliet Marie, Flores, Fortes, Francisco, Fresnedi, Cantiberia, Dalios, Garcia Albert, Garcia Cante, Garcia Jose Arturo, Garcia Maria Angela, Garcia Pablo Jan, Garcia Vincent. Christopher. Gomart. Goles. Gomez. Gonzaga. Gonzales Aurelio. Gonzales Neptali. Gonzales Sandro. Goriseta. Guico. Gintu. Gulias. Gutierrez. Hagidorn. Haresco. Hataman. Hernandez. Herrera. Horibata. Po Ricardo. Po Wilton. Tonghun. Lacson. Lacson Noel. Lagman. Lagon Daphne. Lagon Sani. Maceda. Madrona. Magsino. Malatipan. Malawang. Manipis. Maran. Maranyon. Marcoleta. Marcos. Mariano Hernandez. Marinho. Marquez. Martinez. Mastura. Mangaza. Mercado. Mercado Rubinda. Miguel. Momo. Morden. Nava. Nisay. Noel. Nograles Juan Fidel. Nograles Margarita. Nolasco. Owaminal. Olaso. Olivares. Ongchuan. Padiernos. Paduano. Paglas. Palma. Panaligan. Pancho. Plaza. Bas. Pumaren. Puno. Himbo. Rama. Recto. Rehencia. Revilla Brian. Revilla Ramon Jolo. Reyes. Rilio. Rivera. Robes. Rodriguez Eulogio. Rodriguez Rufus. Roman. Romero. Romualdez Ferdinand Martin. Romualdez Yeda Marie. Romualdo. Romulo. Roque. Sakdalan. Sagarbaria. Sakaluran. Salceda. Sali. Salimbangon. Salo. Salvame. Santos. Saulug. Silverio. Singson Ronald. Singson Mihan. Solon. Soriano. Suwan. Suwansing Horacio. Suwansing Micaela Angela. Suarez. Talyado. Tamayo. Tambunting. Tan Joseph. Tan Keith Micah. Tan Reynolds Michael. Tan Samir. Tan Stephen James, Tan Tambut, Tan Shai, Tan Huatco, Teves Jose, Tiangco, Tieng, Tolentino, Tulfo Jocelyn, Tulfo Ralph Wendell, Tupas, Alfonso, Velasco, Veloso Tuazon, Vergara, Versosa, Villa, Villafuerte Luis Raymond, Villafuerte Miguel Luis, Villanueva, Villar, Villaraza Suarez, Villarica, Violago, Yap Christiantel, Yap Christopher Son, Yap Edvic, Yap Eric, Yu Divina Grace, Yu Giselle Victoria, Yulo, Zamora Amparo Maria, Zamora Maria Carmen, Zamora Isabel Maria, Zubiri.
Members responding to the call, the chair declares the presence of quorum. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we now proceed with the reference of business and direct the Secretary General to read the titles of bills. So move, Madam Speaker.
The Secretary General is directed to read the titles of bills, resolutions, and committee reports and communications.
House Bill 3085. Reference of business bills on first reading. House Bill 3085, declaring February 27 of every year a special non-working holiday in General Santos City in commemoration of its founding anniversary by Representative Acharon.
Government.
House Bill 3086, establishing a Provincial Bureau of Soils and Water Management in Basilisa, Dinagat Islands by Representative Ecleo.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 3087, establishing the Provincial Seedling Bank in Libho, Dinagat Islands by Representative Ecleo.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 3088, establishing a Provincial Office of NIA in Basilisa, Dinagat Islands by Representative Ecleo.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 3089, granting Philippine citizenship to Terence David Pauls by Representative Ecleo.
To the Committee on Justice.
House Bill 3090, providing for basic military and police training in senior high school levels in public and private educational institutions by Representative Coles.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 3091, separating the Cebuco National High School, Pangian Annex and Pangian Zamboanga del Norte from the Cebuco National High School, converting it into the Pangian National High School by Representative Amatong.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 3092 and 3093, establishing multi-species marine hatcheries in the municipalities of Liloy and Cebuco, Zamboanga del Norte by Representative Amatong.
To the Committee on Aquaculture and Fisheries Resources.
House Bill 3094, providing for the modernization of public health emergency preparedness and response capabilities, establishing the Philippine Center for Disease Control and Prevention by Representative Haresco.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3095, instituting the Medical Reserve Corps by Representative Haresco.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3096, right-sizing the national government to improve public service delivery by Representative Haresco.
To the Committee on Government Reorganization.
House Bill 3097, providing for bicycle rights, creation of local bikeway office, establishing infrastructure in relation thereto by Representative Villar.
To the Committee on Transportation.
House Bill 3098, requiring all national, regional, and provincial government hospitals to establish, operate, and maintain a dialysis ward or unit in their respective hospital and providing free dialysis treatment to indigent patients
To the
Representative Villar.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3099, requiring the inclusion of entrepreneurship as a separate subject in the junior and senior high school curricula of the K-12 program by Representative Villar.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 3100, converting the LTR Extension Office in Las Piñas City into a regular EO District Office by Representative
To the
Villar.
Committee on Transportation.
House Bill 3101, granting the Magna Carta for daycare workers by Representative
To the
Villar.
Committee on Welfare of Children.
House Bill 3102, providing stiffer penalties for theft, robbery, and destruction of public school property by Representative
To
Villar.
the Committee on Revision of Laws.
House Bill 3103, establishing the Small and Medium Enterprises Tax Exchange by Representative Villar.
To the Committee on Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprise Development.
House Bill 3104, converting the 4 and 95 100-kilometer provincial road from Barangay Asaria to Barangay Primicias in Mapandan, Pangasinan into a national road by Representative Arenas.
To the Committee on Public Works and Highways.
House Bill 3105, providing for a national reverse labor migration policy towards labor migration by choice, creating the National Reverse Migration Commission by Representative Arenas.
To the Committee on Overseas Workers Affairs.
House Bill 3106, providing for universal educational assistance to all senior high school by Representative Luistro.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 3107, expanding the membership and benefits of the government service insurance system to cover barangay officials by Representative Vergara.
To the Committee on Government Enterprises and Privatization.
House Bill 3108, amending the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act of 2010 for granting hazard pay to disaster response personnel during state of calamity by Representative
To the
Vergara.
Committee on Disaster Resilience.
House Bill 3109, providing for the regulation of tricycles and institutionalizing mechanism for its implementation by Representative
To
Vergara.
the Committee on Transportation.
House Bill 3110, developing the onion industry, establishing for the purpose the Philippine Onion Research and Development Center, declaring the municipality of Bungabon and Nueva Ecija as the onion capital of the Philippines by Representative Vergara.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 3111, strengthening the traditional and complementary medicine system by Representative Vergara.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3112, mandating the classification of internet games, creating for the Internet Games Review and Classification Board by Representative
To
Vergara.
the Committee on Information Communications Technology.
House Bill 3113, providing for the mandatory labeling of milled rice for commercial distribution and imposing penalties for violation thereof by Representative Vergara.
To the Committee on Trade and Industry.
House Bill 3114, to integrate internet and social media education as part of the curriculum of all primary and secondary schools by Representative Vergara.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 3115, amending Batas Pambansa Bilang 22, penalizing the making of drawing and issuance of a check without sufficient funds or credit by Representative Vergara.
To the Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediaries.
House Bill 3116, converting the municipality of Capas Interlac into the city of Capas by Representative Rivera.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 3117, providing for the modernization of the public health emergency preparedness and response capabilities, establishing the Center for Disease Prevention and Control by Representative
To
Arrogancia.
the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3118, establishing the Philippine Virology Science and Technology Institute by Representative Arrogancia.
To the Committee on Health, the Committee on Science and Technology.
House Bill 3119, instituting the Medical Corps by Representative Arrogancia.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3120, providing for the employment of nurses, assigning at least one registered nurse for every unserved or underserved barangay by Representative Morden.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 3121, mandating the establishment of the National Emergency Stockpile by Representative Morden.
To the Committee on Disaster Resilience.
House Bill 3122, granting benefits and incentives to accredited Bantay Dagat by Representative Morden.
To the Committee on Transportation.
House Bill 3123, instituting the Medical Reserve Corps by Representative Morden.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3124, mandating PhilHealth to increase the hemodialysis treatment coverage of members of the National Health Insurance Program to 156 sessions per year by Representative Alvarez Mercedes.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3125, providing all barangay officials a lump sum retirement pay equivalent to 1 year honorarium by Representative Alvarez Mercedes.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 3126, requiring the establishment of dialysis clinics in all national, regional, provincial, and strategic district hospitals and providing free dialysis treatment to indigent patients by Representative Alvarez Mercedes.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3127, creating the Metro Bataan Development Authority by Representative Nisay.
To the Committee on Government Enterprises and Privatization.
House Bill 3128, regulating the conduct of campus educational activities by public and private schools by Representative Nisay.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture and the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 3129, strengthening the protection and safety of pedestrians by Representative Nisay.
To the Committee on Transportation.
House Bill 3130, institutionalizing the lifelong learning development framework, creating a lifelong learning development council by Representative Nisay.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education, the Committee on Basic Education Culture.
House Bill 3131, creating the National Teachers Hospital of the Philippines by Representative Copilar.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3132, creating the National Resiliency and Disaster Management Authority by Representatives Mercado Revilla, Revilla Bryan, Revilla Ramon Cholo.
To the Committee on Government Reorganization, the Committee on Disaster Resilience.
House Bill 3133, separating the Bacoor National High School Tabing Dagat Annex in Tabing Dagat, Bacoor City, Cavite from the Bacoor National High School Molino Main Campus, converting it into the Padre Mariano Gomez National High School by Representatives Mercado Revilla and Revilla Bryan.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 3134, establishing regional branches of specialty hospitals by Representative Reyes.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3135, declaring a national policy the integration of financial literacy in our education system as a tool for poverty alleviation and national development by Representative Alba.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 3136, adopting integrated coastal management as a national strategy for the holistic and sustainable management of coastal and related ecosystems and resources therein from reach to reef, establishing the National Coastal Greenbelt Action Plan and other supporting mechanisms for implementation by Representative Alba.
To the Committee on Climate Change.
House Bill 3137, honoring and granting additional benefits to Filipino senior citizens by Representative Ordanes.
To the Special Committee on Senior Citizens.
House Bill 3138, establishing the Agricultural Calamity and Indemnification Fund Program by Representative Briones.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 3139, strengthening the livestock, poultry, and dairy industry, creating the Livestock, Poultry, Dairy Competitiveness Enhancement Fund by Representative Briones.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 3140, increasing the bed capacity of the Davao District Hospital in Laudal Sur from 25 to 100 beds by Representatives Sachong and
To
Balindong.
the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3141, increasing the bed capacity of the Tamparan District Hospital in Laudal Sur from 25 to 100 beds by Representatives Sachong and Balindong.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3142, penalizing the imposition of a no permit, no exam policy or any such policy that prohibits students of post-secondary and higher education from taking their midterm or final examination or other similar assessments due to unpaid tuition and other school fees by Representatives Noel and Lacson Noel.
To the Committee on Basic Education, Culture, and the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 3143, providing for the improvement of maternal and childbirth services by establishing birthing centers and training traditional birth attendants by Representatives Noel and Lacson Noel.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3144, establishing the Philippine High School for Design and Art System by Representatives Dimaporo City Amina and Dimaporo Mohammed Khalid.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 3145, granting the Lanao del Norte Electric Cooperative a franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a distribution system for the conveyance of electric power to the end users in all the municipalities of Lanao del Norte by Representatives Dimaporo Mohammed Khalid and Dimaporo City Amina.
To the Committee on Legislative Franchises.
Speaker, do you please acknowledge
No.
the guest of the Speaker, His Excellency Koshikawa Kazuhiko, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Japan to the Philippines.
His Excellency Kazuhiko Koshikawa, the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Japan to the Philippines. Mr. Kenji Koronoma, Philippine Senior Representative, Japan International Cooperative Agency. Ms. Yukari Koike, Political Officer, Embassy of Japan. Mr. Akihiko Hitomi, Economic Officer, Embassy of Japan. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader. Session suspended to allow the members to greet our guests. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we resume the reference of business.
The Secretary has directed to read the title of the bills.
House Bill 3146, mandating the creation of the Typhoon Vulnerability Reduction Plan for Public Schools by Representative Lacson.
To the Committee of Disaster Resilience.
House Bill 3147, creating the Virology Institute of the Philippines by Representative Cruz Ambrosio.
To the Committee on Health and the Committee on Science and Technology.
House Bill 3148, establishing a Manila Bay Integrated Flood Control Coastal Defense and Expressway by Representative Cruz Ambrosio.
To the Committee on Public Works and Highways.
House Bill 3149, providing protection to consumers and merchants engaged in internet transactions, creating the Electronic Commerce Bureau by Representative Cruz Ambrosio.
To the Committee on Trade and Industry.
House Bill 3150, instituting the Medical Reserve Corps by Representative Cruz Ambrosio.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3151, establishing the Metropolitan Bulacan Area and creating the Metropolitan Bulacan Development Authority as its administering agency by Representative Cruz Ambrosio.
To the Committee on Government Enterprises and Privatization.
House Bills 3152, 3153, and 3154, providing for the conversion of certain roads in Ilocos Sur National Roads by Representative Singson Mihan.
To the Committee on Public Works and Highways.
House Bills 3155 and 3156, constituting certain distinct and independent barangays in Ilocos Sur by Representative Singson Mihan.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 3157, lowering the penalty for adultery by Representatives Lacson Noel and Noel.
To the Committee on Revision of Laws.
House Bill 3158, establishing the Supplemental Nutrition Livelihood and Employment Assistance Program to qualified underprivileged and unemployed by Representatives Lacson Noel and Noel.
To the Committee on Poverty Alleviation.
House Bill 3159, removing exemption from criminal liability of relatives for crimes of theft, swindling, and malicious mischief by Representatives Lacson Noel and Noel.
To the Committee on Revision of Laws.
House Bill 3160, promoting and supporting development of the charcoal industry by Representatives Lacson Noel and Noel.
To the Committee on Trade and Industry.
House Bill 3161, providing for standards for the practice of rehabilitation medicine by Representatives Lacson Noel and Noel.
To the Committee on Civil Service and Professional Regulation.
House Bill 3162, reinstating the Bureau of Dental Services under the DOH and revamping the Bureau of Dental Services, providing for stringent penalties for illegal dental practitioners in the country by Representatives Lacson Noel and Noel.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3163, institutionalizing a national rehabilitation physiotherapy centers for persons with disabilities through the establishment of accessible PWD rehabilitation centers in every province, city, and other strategic areas throughout the country by Representatives Lacson Noel and Noel.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3164, declaring the city of Malabon a cultural heritage zone by Representatives Lacson Noel and Noel.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 3165, exempting micro and small enterprises from national local taxes arising from the first 5 years of its operations. Medium enterprises from national local taxes arising from the first 2 years of its operations by Representatives Lacson Noel and Noel.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
House Bill 3166, providing compensation, monetary and non-monetary benefits to all barangay officials by Representatives Lacson Noel and Noel.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 3167, exempting a government agency, bureau, or instrumentality from the payment of taxes and fees on the purchase of fire sprinklers for the construction, establishment, rehabilitation, and/or improvement of public buildings, facilities, and/or structures by Representatives Lacson Noel and Noel.
To the Committee on Public Order and Safety.
House Bill 3168, reclassifying the position of the barangay health workers as municipal or city government employees by Representative Sakaluran.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 3169, increasing the minimum salaries of public school teachers in basic and higher education and of non-teaching personnel by Representative Sakaluran.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
House Bill 3170, providing for an across-the-board increase in the minimum wage of domestic workers by Representative Sakaluran.
To the Committee on Labor and Employment.
House Bill 3171, defining the liability of owners, operators, and managers of parking lots collecting fees by Representative Tieng.
To the Committee on Trade and Industry.
House Bill 3172, regulating the use of bank accounts, electronic wallets, and other financial accounts by Representative Tieng.
To the Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediaries.
House Bill 3173, providing for the development of the healthcare and manufacturing industries to strengthen the country's protection against COVID by Representative Recto.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3174, addressing the classroom shortage by rationalizing the allocation of the DepEd budget for capital outlay by Representative Recto.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 3175, institutionalizing a program of professional training for teachers to improve the quality of education by Representative Recto.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 3176, providing for an annual medical examination benefit for public school teachers by Representative Recto.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 3177, accelerating the country's total electrification of households and providing for a reliable and efficient solar energy system to public schools by Representative Recto.
to the Committee on Energy,
House Bill 3178, authorizing the grant of a full crop insurance coverage to qualified beneficiaries of the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program by Representative Recto.
to the Committee on Agrarian Reform,
House Bill 3179, providing for the fair and equitable allocation of farm-to-market roads projects of DA by Representative Recto.
to the Committee on Agriculture and Food,
House Bill 3180, accelerating public sector investments in local infrastructure, establishing for the local build program by Representative Recto.
to the Committee on Public Works and Highways,
House Bill 3181, providing social security benefits for barangay officials and volunteer workers by Representative
to
Recto.
the Committee on Local Government,
House Bill 3182, creating 4 additional branches of the RTC in the 4th Judicial Region to be stationed in the municipalities of Rosario and San Juan in Batangas by Representative Recto.
to the Committee on Justice,
House Bill 3183, protecting consumers from unreasonable fee increases by providing for a consumer group representation in the governing boards of government regulatory bodies by Representative Recto.
to the Committee on Trade and Industry,
House Bill 3184, advancing the rights of street children by strengthening the Barangay Council for the protection of children and establishing an incentive system for the private sector engaged in the promotion of the welfare of street children by Representative Recto.
to the Committee on Welfare of Children,
House Bill 3185, creating the Special Mass Transit System Support Fund by Representative Recto.
to the Committee on Transportation,
House Bill 3186, providing the direct remittance to the host LGUs of their 40% share derived from the national wealth by Representative Recto.
to the Committee on Local Government,
House Bill 3187, mandating the annual public disclosure of all contingent liabilities incurred by all national government agencies, LGUs, GOCCs, GFIs, and other government instrumentalities by Representative Recto.
to the Committee on Public Accounts,
House Bill 3188, institutionalizing the rights of GSIS members, providing them additional representation in the GSIS board, ensuring prompt payment of all their benefits by Representative Recto.
to the Committee on Government Enterprises and Privatization,
House Bill 3189, designating the Secretary of Health as the ex officio chairperson and voting member of the PhilHealth Board of Directors by Representative
to
Recto.
the Committee on Health,
House Bill 3190, designating the Secretary of Agriculture as the ex officio chairperson of governing boards of chartered GOCCs engaged in activities related to agriculture, fisheries, and food production by Representative Recto.
to the Committee on Agriculture and Food,
House Bill 3191, removing the conditions for the condonation of all unpaid income taxes due from local water districts by Representative
to the
Recto.
Committee on Ways and Means,
House Bill 3192, institutionalizing a rapid rehousing program to end homelessness by Representative Ginto.
to the Committee on Housing and Urban Development,
House Bill 3193, amending the Urban Development and Housing Act of 1992 by institutionalizing a subsidy program for expenses related to water and electric utilities and initial monthly bills to qualified beneficiary households by Representative Ginto.
to the Committee on Housing and Urban Development,
House Bill 3194, to provide a housing program for nurses by Representative Ginto.
to the Committee on Housing and Urban Development,
House Bill 3195, introducing a rent relief plan to assist residential tenants adversely impacted by the 2020 economic crisis by Representative Ginto.
to the Committee on Housing and Urban Development,
House Bill 3196, defining the crime of deprivation of support to parents by Representative Ginto.
to the Committee on Justice,
House Bill numbers 3197 to 3210, converting certain roads into national roads by Representatives Villafuerte, Luis Raymond, Villafuerte, Miguel Luis, Horebata, and Enciso.
to the Committee on Public Works and Highways,
House Bill 3211, creating a comprehensive policy enabling youth participation in adolescent pregnancy prevention by Representative Tan Stephen James.
to the Committee on Youth and Sports Development,
House Bill 3212, declaring August 11 of every year a special non-working holiday in summer to commemorate Summer Day by Representative Tan Stephen James.
to the Committee on Local Government,
House Bill 3213, strengthening the Filipino youth involvement in agriculture and entrepreneurship by Representative Tan Stephen James.
to the Committee on Agriculture and Food,
House Bill 3214, creating the Department of Economics and Development Planning by Representative Kimbo.
to the Committee on Government Reorganization, the Committee on Economic Affairs,
House Bill 3215, providing for the strengthening of the administration and organization of the Philippine Coast Guard by Representative
to
Fuertebelia.
the Committee on Transportation,
House Bill 3216, strengthening the governance and management of Philippine Science High School System by Representative Omentado.
to the Committee on Science and Technology,
House Bill 3217, establishing a Philippine National Infectious Diseases Hospital and Research Center in all the regions of the country by Representative Omentado.
to the Committee on Health,
House Bill 3218, establishing Philippine Heart Centers in Bohol for Visayas and Davao City for Mindanao by Representative
to
Omentado.
the Committee on Health,
House Bill 3219, providing for the comprehensive management of hazardous waste by Representative Villarica.
To the Committee on Ecology.
House Bill 3220, repealing compulsory retirement under Article 287, Title 2, Book 4, Book 6 of the Labor Code of the Philippines by Representative Ordanes.
To the Committee on Labor and Employment.
House Bill 3221, prescribing the honoraria or allowances of barangay officials at minimum wage levels by Representative Chato.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 3222, upgrading the salary grade of public school teachers and non-teaching personnel by Representative Chato.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
House Bill 3223, making the position of barangay secretary and barangay treasurer permanent by Representative
To
Chato.
the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 3224, establishing a Philippine Science High School Bohol campus by Representative Chato.
To the Committee on Science and Technology.
House Bill 3225, creating an additional RTC branch in Zamboanga del Sur to be stationed in the municipality of San Miguel by Representative Yu Jazel
To
Victoria.
the Committee on Justice.
House Bill 3226, establishing the National Framework for Water Resource Management and creating the Department of Water Resources and the Water Regulatory Commission by Representative Vergara.
To the Committee on Government Reorganization, the Committee on Public Works and Highways.
House Bill 3227, right-sizing the national government to improve public service delivery by Representative Romero.
To the Committee on Government Reorganization.
House Bill 3228, providing for the modernization of the National Bureau of Investigation by Representative Romero.
To the Committee on Justice.
House Bill 3229, providing for a comprehensive agricultural and rural financing system by Representative Romero.
To the Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediate.
House Bill 3230, amending the Electronic Commerce Act of 2000, providing for stiffer penalties and sanctions by Representative Romero.
To the Committee on Trade and Industry.
House Bill 3231, providing for the modernization of DOST by Representative Romero.
To the Committee on Science and Technology.
House Bill 3232, providing for a comprehensive local government calamity fund to augment disaster response and recovery by Representative Romero.
To the Committee on Disaster Resilience.
House Bill 3233, providing for a comprehensive population to hospital beds ratio by Representative Romero.
Committee on Health.
House Bill 3234, providing all barangay officials a lump sum retirement pay equivalent to 1-year honorarium by Representative
To
Paduano.
the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 3235, providing incentives to barangay tanods by Representative Paduano.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 3236, mandating the establishment of a rehabilitation center for illegal drugs users in every province of the Philippines by Representative Paduano.
To the Committee on Dangerous Drugs.
House Bill 3237, establishing the National Framework for Water Resource Management and creating the Department of Water Resources and the Water Regulatory Commission by Representative Paduano.
To the Committee on Government Reorganization, the Committee on Public Works and Highways.
House Bill 3238, rationalizing the agriculture education in the Philippines by establishing a national system of agriculture education institutions by Representative Romualdez Yadamari and Asidre.
To the Committee on Iron Technical Education.
House Bill 3239, expanding the PhilHealth outpatient coverage on dialysis and renal replacement therapy by Representatives Romualdez Yadamari, Asidre, and Mastura.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3240, establishing the National Center for Geriatric Health and Research Institute, creating regional geriatric specialty centers in the DOH-retained hospitals by Representatives Romualdez Yadamari, Asidre, and Mastura.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 3241, amending the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013 for the integration of an agricultural strand in the academic track of senior high school program by Representatives Romualdez Yadamari, Asidre, and Mastura.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 3242, providing for a wage employment assistance program for displaced and/or vulnerable workers, institutionalizing the TUPAD program of the DOLE by Representatives Romualdez Yadamari, Asidre, and Mastura.
To the Committee on Labor and Employment.
House Bill 3243, to promote the production, processing, marketing, and distribution of Philippine mango, mandating the creation of a framework for development plan by Representative Colada.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 3244, amending certain sections and repealing several sections of the National Internal Revenue Code of 1997 as amended by Representative
To
Colada.
the Committee on Ways and Means.
House Bill 3245, amending certain sections, repealing Section 709 and adding Section 440-A, all under the Customs Modernization and Tariff Act by Representative
To the
Colada.
Committee on Ways and Means.
House Bill 3246, strengthening the establishment and operations of the rural farm schools by Representative Colada.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 3247, establishing a national program for the malunggay industry by Representative Colada.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 3248, promoting corporate farming and providing incentives therefor by Representative
To the
Colada.
Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 3249, providing for the strengthening of agricultural education and training in the Philippines by institutionalizing the manpower development for agricultural entrepreneurship by Representative Colada.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 3250 to promote and strengthen the Philippine bamboo industry by Representative
To
Colada.
the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 3251 providing for a Magna Carta of agricultural development workers by Representative Colada.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 3252 strengthening the animal industry and veterinary services in the Philippines by Representative
To
Colada.
the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 3253 establishing digital taxation in the Philippines by Representative
To
Colada.
the Committee on Ways and Means.
House Bill 3254 penalizing the importation or exportation of cash in bulk by Representative Colada.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
House Bill 3255 institutionalizing the Securing Manufacturing Revitalization and Transformation Program in the Philippines
To
by
the Committee on
Representative
Trade and
Colada.
Industry.
House Bill 3256 granting financial assistance to totally bedridden persons in the Philippines by Representative Colada.
To the Special Committee on Persons with Disabilities.
House Bill 3257 promoting and supporting the development of the corn industry by Representative Colada.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 3258 establishing the Coconut Farmers and Industry Development Trust Fund and providing for its management and utilization by Representative
To
Colada.
the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 3259 enhancing and promoting the seed industry in the Philippines by Representative Colada.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, with leave of the House, I move that we open the privilege hour.
There's a motion to open the privilege hour. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the gentle lady from the party list Bagong Henerasyon, Honorable Bernadette B.H. Herrera.
The
For her
Honorable
privilege.
Bernadette B.H. Herrera is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my fellow legislators, mga minamahal kong kababayan, magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. I rise on the occasion of personal and collective privilege regarding a matter that this representation believes to be quite urgent. But first, I hope this august body will allow me to quickly narrate a personal experience. I recently renewed my driver's license, which took me less than an hour to complete. The process was quite efficient as the steps were mostly contactless and automated. While I was sitting in the waiting area, a number of my companions were recounting the comprehensive driver's education exam that they took prior to visiting the LTO and applauding its high-tech execution. As many of you may know, this exam is now also fully automated. Test takers are instructed to keep their heads as still as possible. Otherwise, the system will detect possibility that answers are being read on the side or that the examinee is being coached by someone. There's also an algorithm in place to make sure that no tests are identical in terms of sequence and question placements. In short, it is possible to have a ready-made answer key. I'm quite impressed that this technology is in place, Mr. Speaker. One of the people I chatted with, let's call him Mang Fred, told me something so candid yet so full of truth and pragmatic insight. Ma'am, yan ang pinakamagandang paraan para mabawasan ang mga kamote driver at kamote rider sa kalsada. Dati kasi kapag manual ang pag-e-exam, lahat pasado. Kahit walang alam sa pagmamaneho at traffic, makakakuha ng lisensya. Binabayaran kasi ang kodigo ng mga sagot. Dagdag pa ni Mang Fred, tao naman talaga ang problema sa kahit anong sistema. Oras na maglagay ka ng tao sa proseso, syempre parating may tukso na tumanggap sila ng lagay o mag-apply ng palakasan. Kaya tumatagal, humihirap at lumalaki ang gastos namin. Madam Speaker, not to over-dramatize or over-romanticize this brief conversation, but in a few heartfelt sentences, Mang Fred managed to summarize the wisdom and importance of automation and digital efficiency in government services. Indeed, the more ideal term is digital transformation, which by its very nature and definition seeks to minimize human intervention and contact precisely to improve efficiencies and eliminate opportunities for corruption. Our Honorable President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. himself touched on this topic during his SONA, instructing the DICT to fast-track the digitalization of government agencies and to ensure that the information technology capabilities are at par with the latest technology. As PBBM pointed out, the forward progression is to go from manual to digital. I'm sure everyone would agree that under normal circumstances, to go from digital to manual is a clear step backwards. I was therefore quite surprised to learn that our Land Transportation Office, out of supposed frustration due to glitches happening in their provincial offices, is considering to overhaul its entire IT system infrastructure and replace its current systems provider. What particularly caught my attention is that the LTO chief, ASEC Teofilo Guadis, openly lambasted its existing IT supplier and in the same instance, actually commended the agency's previous contract holder. He even went as far as saying that the old supplier was, quote, welcome to bid for their previous contract should things go south between the LTO and its current IT provider. Considering its position and the substantial amount involved in the contract, this statement may be considered imprudent or highly irresponsible, to say the least. If anything, it may give rise to public speculation on why the LTO appears to be in a rush to find a new IT supplier, or in this case, revert to a previous one, when they have a signed active agreement with an existing corporation. Ang bilis namang nilang makita ang kapalpakan, kakaupo pa lang nila. Ang bilis makita ng mga mali. Please note that I am not casting any aspersions on ASEC Guadis. However, this is an issue that will affect millions of our countrymen. It is first and foremost worthwhile to examine if the glitches happening at the LTO are indeed the fault of its current IT provider. You see, Madam Speaker, there are reports on the field that these so-called glitches are actually taking place because LTO personnel are manually overriding the current IT system and introducing person-to-person transactions and procedures. While these are just reports for now, I think the irony is not lost on my esteemed colleagues that an IT system designed to minimize human intervention is now being accused of glitches because humans are overriding it. Kung totoo man ito, bakit kaya ino-override ang automated system at ginagawang manual ang transaksyon? I leave this as a rhetorical question as of now, Madam Speaker, but I think we all have a good idea what the motives are if these reports are true. Once again, it takes me back to my conversation with Mang Fred, who pointed out that nowadays, the LTO no longer charges interconnectivity fees for motor vehicle registration, driver's license transactions, and law enforcement and traffic resolution service transactions. Hindi tulad ng dati, ma'am. Basta may tao na magko-computer, may bayad. Sabi niya, noon ang daming fees na kung ano-ano. Hindi naman namin naiintindihan kung para saan yon, pero kasama daw sa processing. Pero ngayon, yung mga dating item na dagdag bayad, wala na. Apparently, Mang Fred isn't the only one who greatly appreciates this, since a number of stakeholders I consulted with also expressed the same sentiment. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, it appears that the manual overrides are not the only cause of the LTO's IT system woes. There seems to be a far more serious reason why the agency's current IT contractor cannot perform its duties and obligations to their full capacity. Based on the stipulations of the 2016 phase-out agreement that the LTO had with their previous supplier, Stradcom, the agency has full and complete ownership of all collective and individual databases. Consequently, Stradcom is required and mandated to turn over these crucial databases to the LTO and the supplier that replaced them. Upon initial inquiries, however, Stradcom has apparently not turned these over. It bears noting that according to audit figures, the LTO paid them a total of 7.53 billion during the last 4-year phase of their contract. Perhaps there are still unpaid dues that the LTO owes Stradcom. But regardless of the reason, the fact remains that the databases remain unreleased. Following Stradcom, the LTO awarded their IT system contract to its present supplier, Dermalog, a German company. Can you just imagine how crippled and debilitated their current operations are, given that they do not have databases to work with? It gets even more absurd, Madam Speaker. I have received reports that Dermalog tech representatives, data analysts, and systems engineers are literally not authorized to use basic working necessities. I repeat, they are not authorized to use basic working necessities. And I am talking about desks, tables, chairs, and everyday office fixtures whenever they visit various LTO satellite offices. Wala po silang magamit kahit isang gamit. Alam niyo po ba kung bakit, Mr. Speaker? Because apparently, under the terms of their previous contract, Stradcom owns all IT-related hardware and equipment, including workplace infrastructure. So anong magagawa ng Dermalog support staff kung wala silang maupuan, mapaglagyan ng gamit, o mai-plug man lang sa extension cord na pag may maari ng dating supplier? Ipinagkaila na sa kanila ang databases, tinanggalan pa sila ng basic office necessities, mukhang may nadedehado. If we look at the big picture and weave these circumstances into it, therefore the glitches that Dermalog is being accused of suddenly take on an entirely different context. Parang lumalabas po, Madam Speaker, na pilit pinagbibintangan ng LTO ang kanilang kasalukuyang IT supplier ng kapalpakan upang bigyang katwiran ang pagbabalik ng dati nilang IT supplier. Yun pala, ang mga di umano'y kapalpakan ay hindi naman kasalanan ng kasalukuyang IT supplier. Kung mangyari man na mapalitan talaga ang IT supplier ng LTO, will their systems revert and undergo back to square one reboot? Will we see the return of manual transactions and collections? Won't these open doors for non-appearance and no-show transactions na naman? This will encourage and perpetuate corruption. Malaking ginhawa para sa ating mga kababayan noong tinanggal ang mga tingi-tinging bayarin sa LTO. Babalikan pa ba talaga natin ito? Yan ba ang nais ni LTO Chief Attorney Jose Guadis? I call on Attorney Guadis, paki-specify po and provide evidence. Ano po ba ang glitches na sinasabi ninyo? Gusto po naming maintindihan sa Kongreso. Paano po naging mas inferior ang automated sa manual? Bigyan niyo po kami ng eksplanasyong konkreto at hindi kung anong kwento. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, this representation believes that as the people's house, it is our bounden duty to look further into the matter by holding hearings to determine whether the LTO truly needs to consider replacing their IT systems provider. Ano po bang mangyayari sa mga frontline services that are fully operating using the new service provider? For example, yung driver's license renewal offices. If the old service provider is given preference, ano pong mangyayari sa interconnectivity ng mga driver's license renewal offices? Same with vehicle inspection centers who were required by their guidelines to build their IT system around the new service provider. Ano po ang mangyayari sa mga medical clinics and driving schools? The positions of these stakeholders should also be sought, as any shift in the LTO's IT infrastructure concerns them directly, which in turn impacts the millions that these frontline agency partners serve on a daily basis. More importantly, we must ascertain if doing so will translate into tangible benefits for our countrymen or will end up as an additional burden, Madam Speaker. Huwag na po nating pahirapan ang ating mga kababayan. Life is already hard as it is. The facts suggest that the LTO may have other reasons for suggesting this course of action. In this regard, I encourage my dear colleagues to exercise our congressional powers of oversight so that we may, through investigation or remedial legislation, shed the necessary light on this issue. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Maraming salamat po.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that the speech of the Honorable Bernadette B.H. Herrera be referred to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action. So moved, Madam Speaker.
There's a motion. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader. Session suspended.
Madam Speaker, I now move that the gentleman from the Second District of Surigao del Norte, the Honorable Robert S. Barbers, be recognized to avail of the privilege hour. I so move, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Robert A. Barbers is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader. Before I start, I did not get what the presiding Madam Speaker has stated. Did she mean adorable or did she mean honorable?
Honorable A. Barbers.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With my hearing. Mr. Speaker, I rise today on a question of personal and collective privilege on an issue that is before us today. At the onset, let me be clear that I am not against the policy per se, but would like to stress that in the implementation of this new policy, there were questions raised more than answers. It is the subject of the no contact apprehension policy, or what they call the NCAP. To some, it is called the new corruption against the people. Madam Speaker, by the World Bank and other international agencies estimate the economic losses by up to 3 billion pesos daily due solely to traffic problems. To address this, the MMDA and the various LGUs experimented with different methods and schemes, including the NCAP, or the No Contact Apprehension Policy. While the objective is laudable, Madam Speaker, the NCAP implementation gave rise to more questions than answers. It took a life of its own and became a problem by itself, an additional burden and a source of corruption institutionalized by the state. To cite a few of the salient features of the NCAP, GU initiated this policy. Quezon City, Manila, Valenzuela, Parañaque. MMDA issues notices or citations and mail them to the vehicle registered owners. The LGU contracted it with a private technology service provider. There's a coordination between the LGUs with the LTO and the MMDA. For instance, of notices of violations and non-registration of vehicles. The latest update, just this morning, the LTO chief issued notices to LGUs to suspend until a full study is conducted. Now, Madam Speaker, the questions that were raised in the implementation of this policy is that what agency is in charge of traffic rules and regulations in the entire NCR? Is it the MMDA or each and every LGU? Next question. Why is it that some notices or citations are mailed to the registered owners by the MMDA on its letterhead with logo and citing MMDA resolution number 16-01 series of 2016? In fact, I have here a copy of a sample of a citation with a photo of the alleged violation. Is it ever possible that one vehicle owner will be cited for one violation by two entities, MMDA or the LGU? In the past, there's the so-called unified ticketing system so that there will be a uniform violation citation tickets. What has become of it, Madam Speaker? Under the NCAP or the NCAP? How are the collections distributed or divided? How much did the LGUs or the MMDA spend for the technology or the service? Did it undergo the proper procedure of bidding? How are the contractors paid? And how much? Are there enough street, road signs and warnings for all motorists, the visitors and the tourists? During heavy rains and nighttime, can the cameras clearly capture the alleged violators' plate number? Or other natural calamities, is the NCAP suspended? What happens if the alleged vehicle violating the traffic rules is traced to a government agency like the Office of the President, Office of the Senate President, Office of the House Speaker, or the members of the Supreme Court, or members of the judiciary, or the ombudsman for that matter? Are citations likewise issued? To whom? And who is made to pay the fines? Is the NCAP constitutional considering the following concerns? Amount of fines and penalties vis-a-vis the infraction. Section 19, Article 3 of the Constitution states that excessive fines shall not be imposed, nor cruel, degrading, or inhuman punishment be inflicted. In this case, you're just given a citation ticket with an amount as stated therein. Vehicle owner instead of the one who committed the infraction. Basic human rights to be presumed innocent is clearly stated likewise in our Constitution. Deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. The question, Madam Speaker, is that was there due process in this citation? The additional penalty of non-renewal of registration of vehicles, even if the vehicle has complete legal documents needed for registration. To date, there is no law, ordinance, or regulation prohibiting vehicle registration due to non-payment of fines for traffic violators. Again, if this is followed or is implemented, is clearly a violation of Section 1 and Section 19 of our Constitution. Says, Madam Speaker, before collection of fine and penalty is clearly stated as well, under pain of additional penalty upon failure to settle within 7 days or failure to contest within 7 days the amounts to a waiver. Meaning, pagbabayarin ka pa rin, and within 7 days, if you did not contest, you will have to go to the quote-unquote bayad center and pay the fines imposed. So, again, Madam Speaker, these are questions that were raised. In fact, this has become a hot issue today because I'm sure one or maybe a couple of the members have become victim of this NCAP trap, so to speak. So with these questions, Madam Speaker, I ask that the leadership initiate actions to immediately effect the suspension of this NCAP until we have answered the questions to the satisfaction of the public. So, Madam Speaker, I hope that the leadership will take action and immediately effect the suspension of this no-contact apprehension policy. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, may we ask to recognize the manifestation of Representative Franz Pumaran from Quezon City.
The Honorable Franz Pumaran is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would just like to inform my good friend, Congressman Ace Barbers, that I was the main proponent of the no-contact apprehension in Quezon City. And before we passed that particular measure, it went to the proper channel, meaning we had a public consultation. We consulted the stakeholders. In fact, it was hotly debated during that particular measure, during the second reading. And me in particular, as the main proponent, stated the following guidelines, the safety net to make sure that the commuters, the registered owners, will be properly coordinated. With regards to the one query by the Honorable Ace Barbers, with regards to the signage, if the people were really informed, if you will pass through the Quezon City, there's a big sign there that there's a camera that will be used. It's a no contact operation, to be precise, Madam Speaker. And of course, there's in Quezon City, I can only say that if ever that you will receive a copy of the picture, you still have a right to attend a meeting and state your reason for violating that particular measure, that particular ordinance. So with regards to Quezon City, Madam Speaker, I guess we fully did our homework. We went through the motion of consulting everybody with our stakeholders.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, distinguished colleague from Quezon City. As I clearly stated in the beginning of my privileged speech, I clearly stated, Madam Speaker, distinguished colleague, that this is a laudable and a good policy, no, that we should implement. In fact, the whole country must implement this. It is to teach our riding public as well as the driving public to follow strictly the rules on the road. But there still are questions that are being raised as to, one, if the basis for the apprehension would be the plate number of your vehicle, and the vehicle is registered under your name, that suddenly a friend of yours borrowed your car, wanted to drive around Quezon City, and violated a certain traffic rule, which was caught in the CCTV of the city. Now, who is now made to pay the fine? Is it the registered owner of the vehicle or the driver?
Madam Speaker.
Colleague, that impose a penalty on an infraction committed basis of the owner of the vehicle. Dapat yung mismo nag-drive ang dapat padala ng citation, hindi yung may-ari nung registered vehicle. In our case, Madam Speaker, distinguished colleague, there are vehicles that we probably bought that has not been transferred to our names. And this is common. This is normal, so to speak. So these are questions that are hounding this whole policy. Again, this is a laudable policy. This is a good policy, and I strongly believe that this should be implemented nationwide.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, if I can be recognized to recognize.
Is recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the query of the Honorable Ace Barber, my colleague here, with regards to who will pay the fine, it's stated in our measure, in our ordinance, it should be the registered owner. Probably a simple analogy there, Mr. Speaker. If you rent a car, you were the one who registered to borrow that particular car, and you let somebody use that particular vehicle, and let's say it was damaged, you have to tell the one who borrowed the vehicle that it was damaged because of that particular incident. So maybe, Mr. Speaker, the one who should shoulder it, if it's the registered owner, then he let somebody borrow this car. He should call the attention of the one who borrowed the car.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleague, that I was 100% honest and must declare that they are not the ones driving or otherwise. Is that correct? Is that a correct assumption, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleague?
Mr. Speaker, if I may again. Well, anyway, like what I mentioned, the penalty should be shouldered by the registered owner.
Okay.
Now, it falls upon the responsibility of the registered owner if he didn't use that particular car and more or less he has an idea who used that particular car in that particular day and date. Kasi Mr. Speaker, once you receive that particular summons, there's an attachment of picture. There's in Quezon City again, I'm only talking about Quezon City, there's a grievance committee. So you can present that particular picture if you want to contest that particular penalty.
Well, I'm glad that there is an avenue where they can contest the
Yes.
apprehension.
And Mr. Speaker, again, if I may add to that, in Quezon City, we don't really penalize right away without hearing the side of that particular, the particular registered owner.
Well, I don't want to go into
Yes.
details, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleague, but again, questions that are hounding this policy are actually, to me, and I'm sure to most of our colleagues, are quite logical questions. For instance, the vehicle being used by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court suddenly violated a lane or went through a red light. Who is now made to pay the fine for that violation? Is the Quezon City government willing to issue a citation against the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court for violating such, or at least the office of the Supreme Court Chief Justice? So these are questions that I think must be very clear in this policy. The driver of our speaker violates a lane in EDSA or violates a traffic rule. Will the Quezon City government issue a citation to the office of the speaker?
Mr. Speaker. Yes. Just like what you mentioned, Chief Justice, Speaker of the House, Senate President, we will still give the citation, but as a due courtesy, it's more of a warning on that particular angle. I guess naman siguro, Mr. Speaker, if the Chief Justice of even the Speaker of the House will receive a citation, he will call the attention of the one driving the vehicle. Kagaya ng sinasabi namin in Quezon City, hindi naman kagad we judge them. We give a chance for the registered owner to air their side. Kasi one particular issue, Mr. Speaker, halimbawa, you violated that particular stoplight. When you receive that particular citation already in that picture, you can go to the office and state your reason. Maybe you're in a rush, emergency, papuntang hospital. I think you won't be penalized with that.
Well, that's good to know, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleague, that courtesy will be extended. But as far as I recall and remember, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleague, courtesy has been committed. Ang medyo hindi yata clear, distinguished colleague, Mr. Speaker, that you will extend a courtesy to the office of the speaker, for instance, for his driver violating a traffic rule. So, I think ito yung question na dapat maging klaro. I heard some stories, although I haven't seen a report on this, that there are drivers who are made to pay a fine of 70,000, 80,000 pesos for the violations that apparently they committed. No? And yung isa naman ay driver nung isang judge. At after the MMDA found out that it was a government vehicle, he just allowed him to leave the area without being penalized. So I guess this has to be really clear and threshed out as far as the policy is concerned. Again, I am glad that Quezon City has passed this kind of or has approved this kind of policy, because this is one way of teaching discipline to our drivers. siguro dapat pagtibayin at siguro dapat paigtingin at bigyan ng klaro na pulisiya talaga itong pagpapatupad nitong NCAP na ito. I hope the distinguished colleague from Quezon City, who I think is the author,
Yes.
we should congratulate the good gentleman from Quezon City for sponsoring this measure in the City Council, because this is really a laudable policy, Mr. Speaker. But again, maybe to avoid questions that will be asked by our riding public on this particular policy, we should really satisfaction of the public these questions.
Mr. Speaker. Yes, thank you very much. With regards to the courtesy that I mentioned, when I say courtesy, we will hear their side. At least, syempre, if the Speaker of the House or maybe the Chief Justice, that's why they beat the red light, because they have an important function or meeting to attend to. And of course, when we started the public hearing with this particular measure, it was hotly debated. Sinasabi nga nila ang constitutional, not at this time and everything. Pero always, isa lang ang sinasabi ko, this will instill discipline in our people. And matatakot ka lang siguro if you have evil minds na talagang gusto mo to break the law, to break the rules. Kasi ako, maybe I can ask the Honorable Ace Barbers. So, ako, I've been driving for the longest time. Wala akong citation, wala akong violation because I follow the rules. So same thing then. If you really follow the basic rules of driving, wala tayong dapat ikatakot with this one. But the Honorable Ace Barbers is right. Now we have to really fine-tune everything, especially if we're gonna adapt it to a national level. So konting polishing na lang, Mr. Speaker. And I admire and salute my idol, my kuya, for calling the attention with this one. And yung actually, Mr. Speaker, bawal po yung with regards yun sa kung na-capture yung picture nung driver. Hindi po. Ang naka-capture po dito na image is just the plate number. Kasi po may violation po tayo ng privacy kung pati yung picture ng tao, the one driving makukuha po. Yes. It's just the registered owner. So, thank you very much po, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, the Honorable Privileged Speaker, for allowing me to at least tell the to air the side of Quezon City. That's why we passed that particular measure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, distinguished colleague, for that comment.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Robert Ace S. Barbers and the manifestation of Honorable Franz Pomaren to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
There is a motion. Any objections? The chair hears none. The motion is carried.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we terminate the privilege hour. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
There is a motion. Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is carried.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize, that we acknowledge our guests, the Sangguniang Kabataan of the City of Taguig, SK President, Honorable Mary Ruth Roven Maximo.
Ano nangyari sa inyong dalawa?
the guest of Honorable Amparo Zamora of the Second District of Taguig.
The guest of Amparo Zamora, representative of the Second District of Taguig, Sangguniang Kabataan of the City of Taguig, through the leadership of SK President Honorable Mary Ruth Roven Maximo, is recognized. Welcome to the House of Representatives.
Mr. Speaker, may we acknowledge the guests of Deputy Speaker Duke Frasco, or your guests, from the municipality of Sogod, Cebu, Mayor Monin Strigan, Vice Mayor Richard Strigan, and 18 barangay captains of the municipality of Sogod, Cebu.
Our special guest from the province of Cebu, the Mayor of the municipality of Sogod, Mayor Monin Strigan, the Vice Mayor of the municipality of Sogod, Richard Strigan, and the 18 barangay captains. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize Honorable Paul Dasa.
Honorable Paul
So moved,
Dasa.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Paul Dasa is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In behalf of the minority members of the House, we would like to elect the following members. Team Affairs, Abalos Jonathan Clement II. Aquaculture and Fisheries Resources, Padiernos Jose G. Basic Education and Culture, G. Ongchuan Harris Christopher, Bosita Bonifacio, Tan Reynolds Michael. To the Committee on Constitutional Amendments, Gutierrez Ramon Rodrigo, Tan Reynolds Michael, Paduano Joseph Stephen. To the Committee on Dangerous Drugs, Padiernos Jose G. To the Committee on Economic Affairs, Padiernos Jose G. To the Committee on Ethics and Privileges, Bosita Bonifacio L. To the Committee on Foreign Affairs, Jose G. Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability, Gutierrez Ramon Rodrigo. To the Committee on Government Reorganization, Padiernos Jose G. To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education, Padiernos Jose G. To the Committee on Human Rights, Bosita Bonifacio. To the Committee on Information and Communications Technology, Padiernos Jose G. And Diplomacy, Tan Reynolds Michael. To the Committee on Justice, Padiernos Jose G. To the Committee on Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises Development, Padiernos Jose G. To the Committee on National Defense and Security, Jose G. Lee Wilbert. Lee Wilbert. To the Committee on Public Information, Sergio. Committee on Public Order and Security, Padiernos Jose G. Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms, Gutierrez Ramon Rodrigo. Committee on Tourism, Padiernos Jose G. Committee on Transportation, Padiernos Jose G. Committee on Ways and Means, Padiernos Jose G. Special Committee on Basis Conversion, Tan Reynolds Michael. And Economic Development, and CISO Nicholas VIII, and Bordado Gabriel Jr. Special Committee on Creative Industry and Performing Arts, Manuel Raul Daniel, and Magsino Marisa Del Mar.
To the Special Committee on Eastern ASEAN Growth Area, Abalos Jonathan Clement II and Harris Christopher. To the Special Committee on Flagship Programs and Projects, Tan Reynolds Michael and Brosas Arlene. To the Committee on Food Security, Lee Wilbert and Brosas Arlene. Globalization and WTO, and Abalos Jonathan Clement II. On land use, Maxino. To the Special Committee on North Luzon Growth Quadrangle, Lee Wilbert. To the Special Committee on Peace, Reconciliation, and Unity, Manuel Raul Daniel and Bosita Bonifacio. To the Special Committee on Reforestation, Esperas Philemon and Ongchuan Harris Christopher. To the Special Committee on Senior Citizens, Bordado Gabriel Jr. To the Special Committee on Southern Tagalog Development, Enciso Nicolas VIII and Gutierrez Ramon Rodrigo. And lastly, to the Special Committee on Strategic Intelligence, Stephen and Gutierrez Ramon Rodrigo. Members that the minority bloc would like to elect to the committees that I had just named, Mr. Speaker.
Any objection? There hears none. Mr. Speaker. The aforementioned members are hereby elected. Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, I move that we suspend
The session for a few minutes.
session suspended.
Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we withdraw the election of Representative Emery Oano Dizon as chairperson of the Committee on Ecology made on August 1, 2022.
There's a motion. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam
Majority
Speaker,
Leader.
Madam Speaker, on behalf of the majority, I move that we elect the following members to the various committees as follows. To the Committee on People's Participation as chairperson, Oano Dizon Emery Lollipop. To the Committee on Appropriations as members, Matsura by Dimple I, Goles Anthony Rolando Jr. T. To the Committee on Agrarian Reform, Estrella Robert Raymond M. To the Committee on Agriculture and Food as members, Ang James Jojo Jr. A, Estrella Robert Raymond M. To the Committee on Aquaculture and Fisheries Resources as members, Amatong Adrian Michael A, Acharon Loreto B. To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture as members, Plato Salvador A. To the Committee on Dangerous Drugs as members, Reyes Ray Florence T. To the Committee on Energy as member, Ang James Jojo Jr. A. To the Committee on Games and Amusement as members, Guardiola Tirso Edwin L. Revilla Brian B. Tan Joseph S. To the Committee on Health as members, Ang James Jojo Jr. A. Vargas Alfonso Baby Alin Espina Gerardo Jerryboy Jr. J. To the Committee on Interparliamentary Relations and Diplomacy as Vice Chairperson, Nava Malusil LMD. As members, Garcia Maria Angela S. Mastura by Dimple I. Adjong Zia Alonto Amatong at Adrian Michael A. To the Committee on Local Government as member, Garcia Dante S. To the Committee on Mindanao Affairs, Acharon as member, Acharon Loreto B. To the Committee on Muslim Affairs as member, Adjong Zia Alonto. To the Committee on National Defense and Security as member, Guardiola Tirso Edwin L. To the Committee on Public Works and Highways as members, Espina Gerardo Jerryboy Jr. J. Galeos Edsel A. Gintu Ivan Howard A. To the Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms as member, Reyes Ray Florence T. To the Committee on Sustainable Development Goals as member, Garcia Maria Angela S. To the Committee on Tourism as member, Gulias Rhea May A. To the Committee on Transportation as members, Ang James Jojo Jr. A. Estrella Robert Raymond M. To the Committee on Visayas Development as Vice Chairpersons, Nava Ma Lucille L. and D. Chato Edgardo M. To the Committee on Ways and Means as members, Ang James Jojo Jr. A. Vargas Alfonso Baby Alin. To the Committee on Youth and Sports Development as members, Aquino Jose II S. Revilla Brian B. To the Committee on the Special Committee on Basis Conversion as Vice Chairperson, Konghun Jefferson F. To the Special Committee on Creative Industry and Performing Arts as member, Revilla Brian B. To the Special Committee on Land Use as member, Acharon Loreto B. I so move, Madam Speaker.
There's a motion to elect the aforementioned members to the said committees. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Congratulations.
Madam Speaker, I move to suspend session for a few minutes.
Session suspended. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the creation of the Special Committee on Nuclear Energy with 25 members and with its jurisdiction as follows. All matters directly and principally relating to the policies and programs for the production, utilization, and conservation of nuclear energy, including the development of nuclear power infrastructures as well as interaction of other energy sources with nuclear energy as a reliable, cost-competitive, and environment-friendly energy source to ensure energy security consistent with the national interest and the state's policy of freedom from nuclear weapons. Madam Speaker, in line with the creation of the Special Committee on Nuclear Energy, I move that we amend the jurisdiction of the Committee on Energy to read as follows. All matters directly and principally relating to the exploration, development, utilization, or conservation of energy resources, including the development and utilization of alternative and renewable energy resources, and the entities involved in energy or power generation, transmission, distribution, and supply, excluding nuclear energy and its sources and infrastructures. I so move, Madam Speaker.
Those are in favor in the creation of the new special committee, the Nuclear Energy Special Committee, say aye. Aye. Those are against, say nay. The ayes have it. The creation of the Nuclear Energy Special Committees hereby approved.
Madam Speaker, on behalf of the majority, I move to elect the following members to the various committees as follows. As chairperson to the Special Committee on Nuclear Energy, as chairperson, Cojuangco Mark O. I so move, Madam Speaker.
There's a motion to elect the Honorable Mark Cojuangco as chair for the Special Committee on Nuclear Energy. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Gentleman Mark Cojuangco from the 2nd District of Pangasinan for a short manifestation.
The Honorable Mark Cojuangco is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Presiding Officer, distinguished colleagues, our people deserve cheap, clean, yet reliable electricity to be empowered in their struggle to attain a decent and happy life. Ang kuryente ay maalipin ng taong bayan. Ang naaalipin ng mahal, kulang at di maasahang kuryente na madumi at mapangwasak sa ating kalikasan. Sa paglikha ng ganitong klaseng kuryente na sama-sama ang lahat ng katangian na nabanggit ko. Number 1, ang pagiging mura. Number 2, ang pagiging malinis. Number 1, mura, cheap. Number 2, malinis is clean, emissions, and pollution-free. Number 3, ngunit nananatiling maaasahan, yet remains reliable. At hindi umaasa sa panahon, does not rely on the weather. Kung hindi ang nuclear energy o ang kuryenteng nuklear. Panahon na po na ang bawat dumarating na pangangailangang kakayahan, generating capacity, sa paglikha ng kuryente ay masagot ng lumalagong bilang ng fleet ng nuclear power plants. Ang hamon po sa komite ay kung paano may parating sa taong bayan ang kaalaman tungkol sa kahusayan at benepisyo ng nuclear power at na may sagawa ang mga batas para mayatid ang mga nuclear power plants sa kanila. Ganon din kung paanong nasagutan sa mga katanungan ng ating mga kababayan. Ito ay nasa karanasan, siyensya, at 60 taon na kasaysayan ng industriyang nuklear. At sa mga ahensya ng gobyerno at institusyong internasyonal katulad ng United Nations at ang kanyang IAEA, UNSCEAR at WHO na nakatakda ng mga siwa sa maayos at wastong pagpapatakbo nito. Ako po bilang halal na chairman ng bagong likhang Special Committee on Nuclear Energy ay nangangako na mailalabas ng committee ang lahat ng buong katotohanan tungkol sa nuclear energy at ang mahalagang parteng maaari nitong gampanan sa pagtugon ng matinding pangangailangan ng Pilipinas sa mura, malinis, ngunit maaasahang kuryente. Mr. Speaker, may kasabihan ang mga pro-nuclear sa ibang bansa. Pag may nakatayong nuclear power plant kahit saan, nagiging mas malinis ang hangin at bawas ang polusyon sa ampaman. A nuclear plant built anywhere means cleaner air and less pollution everywhere else. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat, aking mga kapatitigang mga kasama sa Kamara, sa tiwala na ipinagkaloob nyo sa akin para pamunuan ng isang napakahalagang komite sa Kongreso para sa ikauunlad ng ating bayan. Asahan niyo pong ibubuhos ko ang aking sipag at panahon sa pag-aaruga ng mga panukala na dadaan po sa ating komite. Mabuhay po kayong lahat, mabuhay at maging masagana ang Pilipinas. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Congratulations again, Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, this representation and the entire majority would like to congratulate because we laud the efforts of the congressman from the 2nd District of Pangasinan, namely the new chairperson for this special committee, Congressman Mark Coangco. And equally, Madam Chair, I would like now, being there no business at hand for today's session, that I move that we adjourn the session until tomorrow, August 10, Wednesday at 2 p.m., Madam Speaker.
Session is adjourned until tomorrow at 2 p.m.